Good evening. If I could have your attention, I'd like to call this meeting to order. Today is Monday, April 21st. Welcome back from break for those of you who are away. I can call the meeting to order with 65 members present, constituting a quorum. I have two public service announcements. The first being the RTM still has vacancies in District 3, 5, and 6. If you know anyone in those districts as you're out and about in town, please send them my way or to the respective district chairs, and so they can be caucused in and hopefully to join the RTM. Again, Districts 3, 5, and 6. The other public service announcement is a reminder that the June meeting has been rescheduled to Monday, June 9th. This was in the email from Seth a couple of weeks ago. Monday, June 9th. It had previously been scheduled for Monday, June 16th. That is the last day of school and also Darien High School's graduation. So the Rules Committee voted to move it to June 9th. We look forward to seeing you then, and I will turn it over now to Seth.
Greetings all, welcome. First thing we'll do is, without objection, I will accept the agenda. Is there any objection? Next, I'll take a motion to approve the minutes for the March 17 meeting. Yes, all right, Jim, and great, terrific. Any revisions, changes? Okay. Ready to vote. All those in favor of approving the minutes, say aye. Aye. Opposed? I don't hear any. Abstentions? If you had any, you can give them to our town clerk after the meeting. Great. So the minutes stand approved. Next is approving the dispatchers union contract. Speaking on behalf of the Finance and Budget Committee, Jack Davis.
I'm Jack Davis, District 3, RTM Finance and Budget Chair. Before I move this resolution, for anybody that seems to follow the numbering sequence that we have, we went from 03 to 05 this time. That's because 04 was allocated to a resolution that we'll probably be dealing with sometime in the September-October timeframe. So that just answers if anybody's checking on this stuff. I had to renumber all of my resolutions. I move 2505, consider the approval of a contract between the Town of Darien and the Darien Emergency Telecommunicators United Public Service Union contract. Do I have a second? I have Joe. If there's no objections, I will waive the reading of the resolution. Let me first state that on union contracts, the RTM will be voting not to reject, which thereby approves the contract. As a reminder, should the RTM reject a union contract, the contract goes to mediation. In mediation, the mediator does not compromise between the two sides, but rather picks either one side or the other side. So it's always in the town's best interest to not reject one of these union contracts, because towns like Darien do not do well in mediation. The civilian dispatchers were previously part of the Town Hall Employees Union. As these jobs are unique, there was a special language in that contract. The employees decided to form a separate union for which the town fully supported. This is therefore the first contract with the Darien Emergency Telecommunicators United Public Service Employees Union. The Town Hall contract, which they were part of, expired on June 30th, 2024. The union consists of 9 positions in the town. Currently, there are only 6 members, as there are 3 vacancies. It is believed by town management that this separate contract will facilitate the hiring for these positions. As prospective candidates typically read the union contract, which included in the past town hall employee sections. The contract covers the period July 1st through 2024 through June 30th, 2027, or a 3-year contract. Upon addressing this contract, the employees will receive back pay, which will be paid from the salary increase contingency fund. The salary for this year has already been accrued, and so it will be allocated by the Board of Finance, but it's not incremental to this year's accounts. The key attributes of the contract as follows. General wage increases effective on July 1st, 24 and 25 is 3%. Effective July 1st, 26 is 2.8%. One of the 9 members of the bargaining unit is already at the top step. As such, that employee will receive only a general wage increase for the life of this contract. It is hopeful that 2 other members will be at the top step at the end of this contract. Medical changes. There were no changes to the provision of the medical plan. The employee's payment for premiums will increase to 12% for 25 and 26, and as of 6/30/27 will increase to 13%. This is to ensure that even though we may not have a contract with them at the end of this contract, the cost for medical insurance is already determined and signed for while it's still under negotiations, because you would never get back to say, wait, we need to change this. So this is typically done in all of our contracts. Cost savings for the above medical changes is estimated to be $13,600 over the life of the contract with full staff. The town and union also agreed to offer an optimal plan with higher deductible and lower premium as of July 1st, 2025. This plan has not been quantified because we don't know how many employees might opt into the plan. Midnight shift staffing, the contract adds a provision to allow the midnight shift to have mandatory minimum of 1 dispatcher unless otherwise determined by the chief of police. We did increase competitively. The midnight shift differential had been increased from $1 to $2.50, and a differential of $1.50 for the evening shifts have been added. Those are a little bit higher when you look at their wages to some of the competitors, but we are downstate, and the people are traveling a longer distance, and so therefore we want to make sure that we can fill these positions. The contract contains a new provision for a stipend of $50 a month for an employee who is fluent or proficient in a second language, which benefits the department, and that's to be determined by the chief of police. That's also in the police contract. Compensatory time, the contract contains a new provision allowing dispatchers to earn compensatory time in lieu of receiving overtime pay with department approval. That's capped at 40 hours. Seniority. It defines seniority in this, and if 2 individuals start at the same date, the one with the higher test score is considered to be the more senior employee. All of our employees have a mandatory contribution if they're still in, if they're not in the defined contribution plan for retirement, which the town matches. The percentage is 5%. The fund has a 5-year cliff vesting, which means you have to be there for the full 5 years to get the town's contribution. You still get back your contribution. And as I stated, this plan is a defined contribution plan. There are some other minor improvements to this, but overall, this was a good contract. We do believe that we will be able to hire and maintain our civilian dispatch better than we have. and the RTM Finance and Budget Committee voted unanimously not to reject this contract and recommends the same to the full RTM. Thank you.
Thank you, Jack. Speaking on behalf of Public Health and Safety, Mac Patrick.
Hi, I'm Mac Patrick, District 5, and Chair of Public Health and Safety. I don't know really why I'm up here. Jack stole anything I was going to talk about. But we met on last Wednesday, April 16th, with 9 of 12 members present, so we had a quorum. We did review the contract, and we voted unanimously not to reject it as well, and we asked that you do the same. We did talk a little bit about the midnight shift staffing. We thought that was important. I'm not really sure who wants to work on midnights, but we did look at that. We also looked at the bilingual pay, and we thought that was very important. We did find out that there are a handful of officers that get that as well. So again, we voted unanimously not to reject the contract and ask that you all do the same. Thank you.
Thank you, Mac. Are there any other committees who wish to speak about it? Okay. Town officials? No. RTM body? Any comments? Electors of the town? Looks like we're ready to vote. All in favor, please rise. Opposed, please. And abstentions. Okay. Next item, I'll move right along. Modification to Appendix D, dog fines. Mac, welcome back.
Should I go ahead? Should I wait, or should I go ahead?
No, go ahead.
Okay.
Yeah,
Sure, okay. Again, I'm Mac Patrick, District 5, Chair of Public Health and Safety. I move Resolution 25-6, modification to Appendix D, dog fines. Do I have a second? Thank you. Without objection, I will waive the reading of the resolution. Public Health and Safety met with a quorum last Wednesday on April 16th. We had 9 of 12 members present, and we discussed Appendix D, basically in general. Just to understand what Appendix D is, it's basically merely a spreadsheet. It's in the back of the Code of Ordinances, and it's a great invention. It's because basically what it does is it carves out all of the fines, the dollar amount of the fines, out of each individual ordinance, and puts it in a place where they can be modified at various times. So, you know, if 10 years go by and you want to raise a fine, you can do that. So it's very nice to have. The current dog ordinance actually is blank in that spot. There is no town fine for our existing dog ordinance. So the fine that is there, it's the actual state fine, which is $25. The selectmen recommended increasing that to $100, and that's where we are. Our committee met. We actually voted unanimously to approve that, and we asked that you all do the same. But I did want to read a little bit from the executive summary that our town administrator wrote. It said, Section 10-52 of the town code establishes rules relating to the control of dogs in public places. Items A through C in this section define the rules. Item D in this section establishes an enforcement process and references the fine amount in Appendix D, and that's where currently is no fine. Amending Appendix D to include a fine for these violations will assist with the enforcement of dogs in all public places. That's sidewalks, it's Great Island, it's Highland Farms. And again, we voted unanimously to approve this, and we really ask that you do the same. Thank you.
Thank you, Mac. Any other committees who wish to report? Town officials? Comments? Comments from the body? Yes. I'll get you. Yeah, okay. Input than you.
Good evening, Jim Cameron, District 4. I'm a member of Public Health and Safety and raised a number of questions in the meeting, which I promised I would ask again at the full RTM. Max already answered one, and this is that this will be enforceable town-wide, not just a Great Island. So if you're on a public sidewalk, the parks are a different issue because the Parks and Rec takes care of that themselves. But my question is, how is this going to be enforced? We have found out that the animal control officer at the police department, under union contract, only works 8:30 a.m. to 4 p.m. Monday through Friday. So who is going to enforce this regulation, especially on weekends, especially at Great Island, which has sort of been the trigger for this whole conversation? If it's the police department, I would love to know what their plans are to staff that. I actually invited members of the police commission to be with us this evening to be able to answer this question, and I don't see anyone there. How are they going to staff this? And does the police department have any appetite for issuing tickets if people are using their dogs off leash? If we don't get enforcement, why should there be any compliance? Certainly there's an education effort that's necessary to let dog owners know about this regulation. No one should be surprised, and undoubtedly they'll be given a warning or maybe 2 warnings or so. But if there's an escalating fine for having your dog off leash and it's not being enforced, people will figure that out pretty quickly, and then why should they comply? Thank you.
Thank you, Jim. Amy?
Amy Zabatakis, District 5.
Is that? You can raise it a little, I guess, if you want. And
How about now? Ooh, there we go.
oh,
All right. So Amy Zabatakis, District 5. So I am a little concerned because I think we're making things more confusing. As was stated, the regulations 10-52 explicitly carve out town parks, which are handled by the Town Parks and Rec Commission. The Town Park and Rec Commission, on their website, has rules on dog rules in parks that was updated March 12th, 2025, and it has, specific rules for different parks, which is all great. It includes Highland Farm with an asterisk. Although Highland Farm is not a park, it's under the control of the Park and Rec Department. And then it says down at the bottom of the document, please note that the police department will be ticketing those that do not follow the leash rules $49 tickets. So I don't quite understand how we've got different rules, different fines for different areas. We've got some things that are parks, some things that aren't parks. Part of Woodland Park is a park, part of Woodland Park is not a park. I have living near Woodland Park, have a particular concern about off-leash dogs in Woodland Park. They come out of the park, they've stolen steaks off of my neighbors' grills. It's a problem. I was thrilled when I heard we were raising the fines, but now we've got this multi-tier system. We have the animal control officer maybe enforcing during the week. We have the police department maybe enforcing in some places, not in others. I am in favor of fines. I'm in favor of fines with enforcement, but I'm a little concerned with the lack of consistency.
Okay. Please, Amy, don't come, yes, oh, no. So your proposal, solution, understanding how the town government is structured, parks have their own regulations and their own administration and their own power, and they're very happy to have that. And then you have, this sort of covers the rest of it. And so I'm not sure, given the current structure of the town, how you deal with, not that, what you raised isn't real, but I thought I'd give you a chance if you had a thought.
Well, I think that, we have created the problem ourselves by having certain spaces that are under the park department and certain spaces that are kind of parks but not under the park department. The fact that Highland Farm is being treated differently than Great Island, differently than other open spaces in town but it's not a park is, I think, you're right, it's a problem that we have created. But I guess as far as dogs go, I don't think we can expect people to follow the rules if they're this complicated and we even have a two-tier fine structure depending on where you're standing. So I would like maybe if one option would be to recommend to the Park and Rec Department that they have fines that match the fines on other public spaces. That at least would be a start. But I also think, we do need to figure out who is enforcing this. Is it the police department, is the animal control officer, and is the police department enforcing it everywhere? Because Park and Rec seems to think the police department's enforcing it in the town parks.
Thank you. Yes, Jack.
Jack Davis, District 3, and a former dog owner. I think that there's still too many questions, and I think there needs to be a consistency in the dog fine, whether or not it's in the park or on a town space. I think the solution at this time, because Jim raised certain questions that we don't have answers to, who's enforcing it, we don't have answers to. What I might suggest is that, and I'm not sure if the right word is table, but we table this until we get answers or until we know that the town and Park and Rec have spoken and they come with a consistent fine and bring it back at the next RTM meeting to address. So that's what I would move. And
To a date certain?
yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Well, Wayne's looking in the book. I'm hoping that he gets the right
Both
answer.
looking sideways at town council.
But I would think that that's something that we would do until we have answers and we have some consistency in the fines. Thank you.
So your
I'm
motion?
moving it.
Okay.
So I
Would
need
you
a
repeat the
second.
motion just so that everybody's?
My motion is to table the resolution to a date certain, to review and ensure that there's consistency between the Park and Rec and the town fines, as well as understanding who will be enforcing at both locations.
Sir, could we have a date?
Yeah, you want to do it in June? I have no problem.
June? Fine. So it's the June
Whatever meeting, 9th or
June
something.
RTM meeting. Okay. Good. Do you have a second? Okay. Yes, sir. Any further comment on the motion? Yes, sir.
Richard Aponte, District 2. Is there what fines are going to be covered under this? Is it just going to be leash laws? Is it going to be if you don't clean up after your dog? I mean, can we get a little more clarification on exactly what the fines are going to entail, what the violations are? So I guess when we come back after this being tabled, if we could have something derived on all that, those bullet points would be appreciated.
I would think so. Yes, okay. Mac has something to add here.
The town animal ordinance is really pretty simple. It's called Control of Dogs in Public Places. A is leashing and conduct in public places. B is cleaning up after your dog. So those are the two sections. And that's really it. There's a few exceptions. Dogs used by a government agency or a service animal. And then it goes on to say that dogs in town parks are subject to the rules of the Darien Parks and Recreation Commission. But that's really it. So it's pretty simple and basic. I think we're finding out tonight is there are people feel that the Parks Commissions, their rules are a little bit more convoluted because they have carve-outs. There are times you can have your dog off leash in certain parks for certain hours and things like that. But for town property, it's pretty straightforward. Good.
Yes, I'm just checking to see. Okay, Jim.
Jim Cameron, District 4. Speaking to the motion on the floor, which is to table this for the moment, I would oppose tabling it for now. I am not opposed to the ordinance that we're looking at this evening. I just think it is incomplete. But I think we need to move forward with this as a starting point, especially given Great Island and more people coming out to Great Island. I know that the Great Island Advisory Committee is concerned about this as well, too. I would also suggest if we do move forward with this, we make it very clear to the Police Commission and Parks and Rec that there are issues that they should be dealing with, especially the police department, now that they have an ordinance with some teeth in it. I would love to hear from the commission, and we should ask them as a body what they're going to do in terms of enforcement. But I would vote against tabling this evening. Thank you.
Thank you. Further comment? Yes. This is on the motion to table.
Hi, Emily Salmore, District 2.
Try closer.
Sorry, Emily
There.
Salmore, District 2. Thank you. Does this cover unregistered dogs for licensing? And also, I think the higher we make this, the more of a deterrent there will be. I understand the need to enforce and the need to have policemen covering it, but I do think that a $25 fee is nothing. People will continue to do it. I think if you have signage up saying the fee is higher, I think that will be an enforcement in and of itself.
So you're speaking in favor of a motion to table?
I'm not speaking either way in a motion to table. I'm just talking about how I feel about the fee itself. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Yes, Rolf.
Rolf Oben, District 4. The only thing I would say is that the Board of Selectmen voted already to expand the accessibility of dogs on leash on Great Island to go off-path and into the grounds. So if you want to delay the vote, understand that while this delay is in play, the expansion and accessibility with dogs on the island will go forward. June 1.
Thank you, Rolf. Other comments? Yes, Mac.
I just want to clarify, the existing fine is $25, and what we're talking about tonight is increasing it 4 times to $100. Thank you.
Okay. Recognize our distinguished town clerk, speaking as a member of the public.
Thank you, Krista McNamara. prior to your vote on whether to table this item, I do have a question concerning the dollar amount specifically. Can you clarify if on top of the 100, the state fees would be added, or is it $100 complete? Because the current $25 has a state fee on top of that, which is a total of $49 to the perpetrator.
There is no dollar amount. It's called administrative fees. It's currently $29. So that's what it is. So that's added on. So when you pay a fine of $100, you're paying a fine plus administrative fees. And currently it's roughly $29. Does that help you?
Okay, so this motion, this Appendix D would state 100 plus.
It says it already.
Okay, just wanted to clarify.
Wayne wrote it that way.
And of the $100, does any of that money go to the town, or does all of it go to the town?
It pretty much all goes to the town.
It all, sorry, it all?
It's a town fine.
Okay, and then the administrative goes to the state?
I believe so.
Okay, and then the,
And I believe this isn't just like this, any other, this is done with traffic tickets, you know, same thing.
okay, fair enough. My last question regarding the fine is the appeal process. Could you elaborate on that?
You would go to state court, which would be in Stamford, just like you would with a traffic fine.
Thank you.
Okay, welcome.
Okay, further comment?
Seth,
Yeah,
very quick.
Jim, okay.
I see the presence of our first selectman, who, if I could quickly summarize what our concerns are that we've been expressing, that there's a table, there's a motion on the floor now to table a vote on this dog leash ordinance because questions have been raised. I'm sorry, fine. The ordinance is already there. The concerns that have been raised by several people are inconsistency with the fines in the parks, questions of who is going to enforce this, and if there is no enforcement, is there any reason for compliance? Maybe he could speak to those issues before we vote on the tabling motion. Thank you.
Mr. Zagradsky? Well, all right.
Sorry, I was at the Board of Selectmen meeting. I didn't know there was going to be a quiz tonight. Are there notes on I mean, can I ask a friend? Okay. So a couple of things about this ordinance, why I think it's important to go ahead and pass the fines that have been proposed. So the first is, this really is an enabling ordinance. So this allows us to start to charge a fine of $100 versus what we have now, which is $25. It doesn't obligate us to do that, but putting the ordinance in place now allows us, as we move forward, to go ahead and start to impose a fine if we decide that that's in the best interests of the town to encourage leash compliance. By way of background, I mean, dog access is controversial, right? There are some people, a lot of people in town, I have a dog at home, everybody loves dogs. There are thousands of dogs in this town, and people really do want to get open space to walk their dogs. At the same time, there's a lot of people who said, well, we really are worried about that, especially if someone has their dog off leash. And when you go back to the Great Island Committee debate, several members said, well, we'll agree to this only in exchange for there being some enforcement so we can be comfortable that if we're going to have dogs off leash, that people are really going to comply with that. So part of what you're seeing here is an effort to satisfy both parties, right? So to get dog access onto Great Island, but also provide a way to tell folks that says, look, we take leashes seriously, and it's a unique place in town. We really need to do a good job of that. So that's the reason for asking you all to consider this fine. So as for the dollar amount and the consistency with Parks and Rec, you are correct. The Parks and Rec Commission has the authority to go in and set their own fine and their own enforcement. I have already talked with Lori Bora, and my hope is that we will get that on an agenda for an upcoming Parks and Rec meeting. Several people have contacted me and said, look, it's a lot better if we have it consistent across town, for the main reason being that it's a lot better to say, if I'm going to have a dog and the dog gets off leash, no matter where I am, the town treats that consistently, and there's a consistent fine and enforcement cadence. So I'd like to get the Parks and Rec Commission on board with this. Lori's already signaled that that's not an unreasonable request at all, and I expect that when they meet next or shortly thereafter, they'll take this up for discussion and hopefully adopt the same posture that would be approved by this body. And what was the last question? Oh, enforcement. So that one is more difficult. So as you'll recall, we recently replaced our animal control officer retired. I don't know if you all saw today, but Chip Stahl, who was our animal control officer, he passed away. Very sad, and only retired just this last fall. So please keep his family in mind during this difficult time. But we have a new animal control officer right now. She's extremely good, but her hours of work are Monday through Friday, 8 in the morning until 3:30 in the afternoon. So those hours are outside when a lot of people might be walking their dogs in the evening or on the weekend. So right now, we don't have an exact plan for how we want to enforce this. We are working with the Darien Police Department to think that through. I think actually just the signaling value of saying we're starting to take this seriously, and we do have an ordinance in place that allows us to charge a higher fine for dogs off leash, I think sends a good message to the town that we are going to take this seriously. If you do pass this ordinance, what I would do is ask that you kind of give the committee and the Board of Selectmen a little bit of leniency in terms of how we roll out enforcement. To be honest, I'd like to see how things go once, say, into the summer, and start to collect anecdotes about how people are complying with leashes. This will also give us a chance to work through the Parks and Rec process so that sometime, hopefully in the next couple of 3 months, we have a single fine. All the committees and boards are treating them the same, and we've got some evidence about how people are actually complying with our leash laws, which I'd like to see over the next couple of 3 months. If it turns out that we still have a problem, I think we owe it to the folks who agreed to have dogs on Great Island to really start to take enforcement seriously. Not to be mean about it, but just to remind people that we've got leash laws for a reason, and that's really for everyone's safety, whether you have a dog or not. So I would encourage you to pass this ordinance tonight. We will take it seriously, and we will address all the concerns that you've raised. While I'm here, are there any other questions about this that I can address? Thank you, friends.
If I was going to make a suggestion, I would suggest that we not table this. Tabling tends to put everything in limbo. I would go ahead, if I were sitting out there, I'm just a referee here, but if I was out there, I think I would not vote to table, and then pass this and put the fine, put it on the table. We are clearly in a position to continue to monitor how this goes. We've heard from the first selectman that they're tracking it and that they recognize the issues that you've raised. So I think there's an opportunity here for them to just follow through and let's say expand on enforcement and expand on how it's all going to work. So any other questions on the motion to table? Any other comments? Yes, yeah, I said, is there any more comments on the motion to table? Was it seconded? Yes, it was. Yes, it was. Okay, no, yes, the seconder's before us there. I can't read your, Dan, yeah. Okay, so, Tom? Well, if he would like to, certainly we would always be willing to entertain a motion like that. But I don't see a plus there. I don't see a nod in the affirmative. So, ready to vote? All those in favor of tabling, please rise. Okay. Opposed? Please rise. Okay, and abstentions? Great, we have to wait to take the tally before we, before we go forward here. In the previous motion, 2505, dispatcher contract passed, 71 in favor, no noes, 1 abstention. Okay, the motion to table fails, 15 in favor, 54 noes, 1 abstention. Now to the main motion. Are we ready to vote? Okay, all those in favor, please rise. Opposed, please? And abstentions. Abstentions, please. Okay, so as we're collecting the votes, we'll go ahead and move on to the next item, which is acquisition of property at Old Kings Highway and Sedgwick Avenue from the State Department of Transportation. Speaking on PZ&H, on behalf of them, Amy Zabatakis. Amy?
Go ahead. Hi, I'm Amy Zabatakis, District 5, and Chair of the RTM Planning, Zoning, and Housing Committee. I move Resolution 2507, approving the acceptance of property located at the corner of Sedgwick and Old Kings Highway North from the State Department of Transportation. Do I have a second? Thank you, Per. Without objection, I'll waive the reading of the resolution. However, before we get into the report, I do have 2 amendments to the resolution. The first is in the 4th whereas clause. It says right away instead of right of way. The second amendment is in the 5th whereas clause. It states that it's expected that the Planning and Zoning Commission will approve the mandatory referral. I would recommend that we amend that whereas clause to state the Darien Planning and Zoning Commission pursuant to Connecticut General Statute, Section 8-24, issued a positive report on this acquisition on April 8th, 2025. Are there any objections to the amendment? Or second? I'm not really sure how we do an amendment. Do we second the amendment?
I would.
Okay.
I tell you what, normally, we have a motion and a second on the floor. Without objection, I'm willing to accept an acclamation vote on this. Is there any objection to that? Okay, then all those in favor say aye to the amendment. Opposed? Abstentions? I hear none. Okay, and it's, we're now doing a motion as amended.
Thank you very much. And thanks for the help in getting that amendment done properly. So the State Department of Transportation currently owns a strip of land that is 151 square feet in size. It's between the town-owned road and the privately owned property at the corner of Sedgwick and Old Kings Highway North. If you've been in that area, there's a new apartment building going up on that corner. The area in question that's owned by the Department of Transportation does include part of the town-owned and maintained sidewalk. The Department of Transportation would like to transfer this land to the town of Darien for no charge. So, pretty good deal. At the Planning and Zoning and Housing meeting on April 17th, we reviewed the transfer. We noted that it does make sense for the town to own this property. With 12 of our 14-member committee present, constituting a quorum, we voted in favor and encouraged the RTM to do the same. Thank you.
Thank you, Amy. Any other committees want to report? Okay. Town officials, any remarks? Okay. From the body, any remarks, thoughts? All right. Electors of the town? Here not. Looks like we're ready to vote. All those in favor, please rise. Item 2506, dog fines, passed 58 in favor, 11 no, 2 abstentions. No votes, please. And abstentions. Okay. While we're tallying, I'll move forward here with the next one, a establishment of Darien Blooms Gift Fund. Reporting for Finance and Budget, Jack Davis.
I am Jack Davis, District 3, Chair of the RTM Finance and Budget Committee. I move 25-08, creating a Darien Blooms Gift Fund and authorizing the acceptance of donations. Do I have a second? I have Patty. If there's no objection, I waive the reading of the resolution. Our committee report from F&B will address the financial aspects of this fund. The following RTM Park and Rec Committee report will discuss the Darien Blooms Garden program. The Darien Beautification Commission developed the Darien Blooms Garden program. The program is to be partially funded by accepting donations. The Beautification Commission's goal is to receive more than $25,000 in gifts. Therefore, although the individual gifts will be of a small nature, the total anticipated gifts, being more than $12,500, requires the RTM to approve the acceptance and expenditures of these gifts. The Board of Selectmen approve the acceptance of gifts and the establishment of a special fund at their April 7, 2025 meeting. The Board of Finance approved the establishment of this fund and authorized expenditures from the fund at their April 8, 2025 meeting. Typically, the Board of Finance voted on this simply because we're establishing a new fund. Otherwise, it would have gone to the Board of Selectmen and the RTM only. From an accounting perspective, a gift fund has been established. Gifts will be deposited into the fund. Expenditures will be authorized consistent with existing town fund controls and procedures. The establishment of the Darien Blooms gift fund will allow for better control of the donations and what those expenditures are being made for the established purpose of this fund. The RTM Finance and Budget Committee unanimously approved acceptance of gifts, the establishment of the Darien Blooms Gift Fund, and the expenditures from this fund, and recommends the same to the full RTM. Thank you.
Great. So, the results of 2507 Connecticut, the property acceptance, 71 in favor, 1 abstention. Now, speaking on behalf of the Park and Recreation Committee, Adele Coniff.
I'm afraid of this mic. Okay, good, it's better. Okay, thank you, it's been a while. The Darien Beautification Commission, Adele Coniff, District 3, RTM Park and Rec Committee Chair. Thanks. The Darien Beautification Commission was incorporated into the town government as a full commission in 1991 for the purpose of stimulating and coordinating public and private actions for maintaining and improving the overall physical appearance of Darien. The Darien Beautification Commission strives to create and maintain gardens around Darien using predominantly native plants, trees, and shrubs. The Beautification Commission's work is in evidence particularly around the front of Town Hall. They have partnered with the Garden Club of Darien and the Veterans Memorial Circle, as well as other local groups, including the Commuter Action Group at Norotan Heights Railroad Station. They've even tackled the berm at the Darien Railroad Station. The Commission tends to 2 memorial gardens in town, Amy's Smile Garden and Verona Stewart Garden. The Commission is responsible for the lovely hanging baskets of flowers we enjoy in town each summer, and has coordinated the Adopt a Garden program, which offers traffic islands, land alongside I-95 ramps, and well-traveled intersections to landscapers, businesses, and other organizations to plant and tend. The gardens in the Adopt a Garden program are in need of refurbishment. So for the last 3 years, the Beautification Commission has been working to reimagine the program. Adopt a Garden has become Darien Blooms. It was clear to the Commission's members that any replanting plan needed to include a maintenance plan as well. Also, it was clear that having one company instead of multiple vendors would be more manageable and assure a more coordinated finished product. The Commission contacted 10 landscaping firms, and only one company, Eastern Land Management, responded with interest in the project. ELM created planting and maintenance proposals for most of the 17 gardens the Commission has been maintaining. The cumulative cost for the refurbishment plus maintenance for 3 years and watering was over $150,000, approximately $8,000 to $10,000 per garden. After consulting with local businesses, the Commission concluded the costs were too high for the businesses to cover, as in the Adopt a Garden model. They decided to prioritize the gardens, reducing the number of gardens being refurbished with revised planting plans, mowing and watering costs. 7 gardens were chosen as top priorities, with ultimately 4 which will be part of Phase 1 of the project. Nearwater Lane at Post Road, Norotan Heights train station, southbound tracks near the entrance. Welcome to Darien sign at exit 11 southbound. Post Road across the road from the intersection of Mansfield Avenue near Darien Fire Station. Funding for the first gardens will come from the Beautification Commission's current budget, approximately $10,000, with further funding coming from individual and business donations plus fundraising. The Commission is planning a That's My Brick campaign in which patrons buy a brick that is engraved. Bricks will be offered potentially for $200 or $325, depending on the size of the brick, to be determined. The bricks will then be used to refurbish the paving in the garden at the intersection of Mansfield Avenue near the Darien Fire Station. Seasons 2 has offered to contribute a bench to the garden as well. The Commission has the approval of the Department of Transportation for renovations of this garden, which sits on DOT land. The Commission hopes to raise in excess of $25,000. There are more gardens to be renovated and maintained. Phase 2 could include Tokenique Road at 5 Mile River Road and Welcome to Darien sign at exit 13. Gardens not renovated will be kept tidy or grassed over. With the raising of funds expected to exceed the $11,500 threshold for a gift to the town, the Beautification Commission is requesting that a gift fund be established to support Darien Blooms through the life of the program. The RTM Parks and Recreation Committee met on April 2nd with 12 of 14 members present and voted unanimously on the acceptance of donations and creation of a gift fund for Darien Blooms. Thank you to Sarah Schwartz, Chair of the Darien Beautification Commission, for attending our last meeting and answering our questions. We appreciate what you and the Commission do for the town of Darien. The RTM Parks and Recreation Committee asks for the RTM support for the establishment of this gift fund. Thank you.
Thank you, Adele. Any other committees? Town officials? Members of the body, comments? Okay. Electors of the town? Looks like we're ready to vote. All those in favor, please rise. Opposed? And abstentions. Okay. While we're tallying that, we'll move on to the next item, which is bookkeeping in a way. Resolution amendment to specify Norotan Heights Fire Department as a 501c3 corporation and that the funds to replace the retaining wall are a grant to the department. Speaking on behalf of Finance and Budget Committee, Jack Davis.
I am Jack Davis, District 3, RTM Finance and Budget Chair. I move 25-09, amend and restate resolution appropriating $2,006,100 for the costs associated with the Norotan Heights Fire Department retaining wall replacement project and authorizing the issuance of bonds and notes in the amount of $2,600,100 to meet said appropriation. Do I have a second? I have Pierre. If there's no objection, I waive the reading of the resolution. Haven't been reading well on this one at all. On March 17th, the RTM passed Resolution 25-02 to authorize the $2,006,100 appropriation and issuance of bonds and notes to meet said appropriation. A subsequent title search revealed that the area where the wall is being constructed is not owned by the town. As such, the original bond resolution needed to be amended and restated to recognize the property is owned by the Norotan Heights Fire Department, a 501c3 organization. The RTM Planning, Zoning, and Housing Committee will further discuss that aspect in their report. From a financial bond resolution perspective, there are two new sections to the original document. The first is the second whereas, stating, and I quote, "Whereas the town desires to amend and restate the resolution to specify that the Norotan Heights Fire Department in the town is a 501c3 corporation, and to include a determination that the appropriation of funds for a grant to the Norotan Heights Fire Department is deemed to be in the public interest." It also had an "and" in there. Section 7, which is the last section, has also been added, reading, "It is hereby determined that the appropriation for the grant to the Norotan Heights Fire Department, a 501c3 corporation, is deemed to be in the public interest." The public interest, as well as the ownership of the land, was actually discussed in F&B in the original motion at our meeting. We did agree that, number one, this is a fire department that services the community, and if you recall, I did say it's an important fire department to me personally because it services my house. The second aspect of it is that this retaining wall is in certain ways holding up the road. So we have to make sure that it's safe and stable so that the road doesn't end up in the area below. So both of those are significant public interests, hence a grant is deemed appropriate. The RTM Finance and Budget Committee unanimously approved 2508, the restated and amended 2502, and recommends the same to the full RTM. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Jack. Speaking on behalf of the Planning, Zoning, and Housing Committee, Amy Zabatakis.
Hello, Amy Zabatakis, District 5, and Chair of RTM Planning, Zoning, and Housing. In connection with this resolution, the Planning and Zoning and Housing Committee was asked to report to the RTM on the status of the ownership of the property. In May of 1953, the town of Darien transferred to the Norotan Heights Fire Department, which is a charitable 501c3 organization, the land where the fire department sits. Pursuant to the terms of the deed, the fire department was to build a firehouse within 3 years, and if they had not, the land would have reverted back to the town. The deed further states that if the Norotan Heights Fire Department ever were to sell the property, the town has a right of first refusal, and if the town takes over fire protection services, the Norotan Heights Fire Department is to sell the land and the building to the town for a reasonable amount. So there's obviously a close relationship between the town and the Norotan Heights Fire Department regarding this property. And as was discussed at the last meeting, it's important that this is a public safety. It's also the fire department for my house, so I also, like Jack, want to make sure it's still there. And also, of course, the retaining wall is needed to protect the integrity of the sidewalk and roadway above, which is town property. So at our regular meeting on April 17th, the Planning, Zoning, and Housing Committee reviewed the property ownership and agreed that the town making a grant to the Norotan Heights Fire Department in the same amount as was previously allocated to this project was proper. With 12 of the 14-member committee, 12 of our 14-member committee present, constituting a quorum, we voted in favor of the grant and encouraged the RTM to do the same. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Amy. Any other committees? Have any thoughts? Okay, town officials? See none? Members of the body? Comments? Electors of the town, looks like we're ready to vote. All those in favor, please rise. Item 2508, the Darien Blooms Gift Fund, passed 71 in favor, no noes, 1 abstention. No votes, please. And abstentions. Okay, as we're moving right along. And this next item, I want to acknowledge the work of Frank Penn, who's worked hard, TGSNA. Frank Kemp has done some great things here, and I just want to acknowledge that. However, the TGSNA committee has designated certain people to handle certain parts of this Appendix B item. So to lead off for Part 2, Jessica Cahill from District 1, and also a member TGSNA, will present on that. Since you haven't done this before, you have to move the item.
Okay,
I ask permission not to read it. Okay.
got it. If I make any mistakes, you'll let me know.
No, I didn't.
Good evening, Jessica Cahill, District 1, a member of Town Government Structure and Administration Committee, TGSNA. At this time, I'd like to move item 2510 regarding amending Appendix B, Part 2, Section 6, Paragraph B, nominations and voting, the section that relates to candidacy for the RTM. Do I have a second? Patty, thank you. Without an objection, I'll waive the reading of the resolution. Thank you. On Thursday, February 27th, 2025, at a special meeting with 6 of 10 members of TGSNA in attendance, we met to discuss this amendment to Appendix B of the Town Code relating to the procedures for registering for election. As background on this matter, the 2024 introduction of early voting procedures had the effect of moving deadlines for registration to be several weeks earlier than had been the case. And in response to this change, the resolution adjusts the time frame for the 3 ways in which a person may be registered. As explained in the executive summary that we've all received, a non-incumbent candidate may register with the town clerk, provided that they have secured the signatures of at least 25 electors from their voting district. This may be done at any point from January 1 to September 1. An incumbent RTM member may nominate themselves for re-election by notifying the town clerk in writing, again, at any point from January 1 to September 1. Any elector may become a write-in candidate for election to the RTM by registering with the town clerk no later than the last business day preceding the start of early voting. For election, a candidate must receive at least 25 votes. The effect of these changes is to expand the period of time in which registrations may be made to the town clerk and clarify that a write-in candidacy must be declared prior to the start of early voting. At the meeting of the TGSNA committee, it was approved unanimously, a favorable report on the resolution to the RTM, and we recommend that you also vote favorably on this item this evening. Thank you.
Thank you, Jessica. Any further report on this item from any other committees, town officials? Any comments? Members of the body, any comments? And electors of the town? In that case, looks like we're ready to vote. All those in favor, please rise. Item 2509, the Roten Heights Fire Department, the wall. 69 in favor, 3 abstentions. It passes. No noes. Okay. While we're putting together the results of 2510, we'll move on to 2511. Speaking for TGSNA, Frank Kemp.
Good evening. My name is Frank Kemp, District 4, Chair of the Town Government Structure and Administration Committee, or TGSNA. At this time, I'd like to move item 25-11, which is a resolution to amend Appendix B, Part 6, Sections 1 and to 7, dealing with Rules Committee and Standing Committees, and Appendix B, Part 5, Section 9, which has to do with the rules of procedure of the RTM meeting. Do I have a second? Thank you. So may I have a motion to waive the reading of the resolution? Thank you. As background on this matter, Appendix B, Part 6, defines the RTM rules and standing committees, how standing committees should operate, and their rights and responsibilities. Appendix B, Part 5, defines the conduct of our RTM meetings. Appendix B, Part 6, and Part 5, Section 9 were outdated and last updated in the 1980s. Thus, a review was initiated that included input and modifications from over 20 RTM members, reviews with each of the standing committees, and a legal review by town council and staff. While some sections of Appendix B, Part 6 were not modified, those sections that were amended were made based according to the following reasons. Changes were made to reflect the actual practice over the last 20 years. Changes were made to clarify the prior code, and descriptions of standing committees that were old and archaic or simply incorrect were updated. And standing committees are now described with clarification of existing rights and powers and required changes. A section was removed reflecting that control of a standing committee rests with the standing. A section was removed reflecting now that the control of a standing committee rests with the standing committee itself. Part 5, Section 9 was changed to the most current Robert's Rules of Order and to define the full RTM quorum. The TGSNA committee met in regular and special sessions to prepare this resolution. At their March 24th meeting, they voted unanimously to approve these amendments to Appendix B, Part 5 and 6, and recommends the same to the full RTM this evening. Thank you.
Thank you, Frank. Any other committees have any comments? Town officials? Okay. Members of the body? Any comments? Okay. Electors? Yes. I'm sorry, I didn't see you there, Jim.
Sorry, a little slow on the draw tonight. I just wanted to say thank you to Frank Kemp and Jack Davis and the other members of this body who read through this extensive document, who had recommendations. I was one, thank you. I was flattered to be included. My suggestions were heard. I think a lot of work went into this, and I think they deserve our thanks.
This is one of those things, looks easy, does hard. It's taken us at least 9 months to get this far along. So it's really a lot of work and something which was overdue, and so it's really great that we're at this point tonight. Great, so I think I asked for town officials if they had any, for electors of the town. Didn't see any. Okay, looks like you're ready to vote. All in favor, please rise. Item 2510, Appendix B, Part 2, passed 71 in favor, no noes, 1 abstention. No votes, please. And abstentions. Okay, looks like we're ready to move on. 25-12, Part 8, Procedures for District Caucus. Speaking on behalf of the Town Government Structure Administration Committee and Gail Holt.
Good evening. My name's Gail Holt, District 2, a member of the Town Government Structure and Administration Committee, TGS&A. At this time, I'd like to move item 2512 regarding amending Appendix B, Part 8, Section 4, Paragraph 2, titled District Chairs, Vacancies, and Resignations. Do I have a second? Thank you. If there's no objection, I'll waive the reading of the resolution. As background on this matter, at the beginning of this year, the Rules Committee requested that TGS&A review the district caucus procedures for filling a vacancy on the RTM. TGS&A was asked to return recommendations to rules that would be entered into Appendix B so as to promote standardization of these procedures and to serve as a reference in the future. As explained in the executive summary that we all have, district chairs were initially surveyed as to their recommendations on this topic in early January and again in March, based on draft preparation by TGS&A incorporating their views. Final edits were approved by TGS&A at their March 24th meeting and were forwarded to Rules for their review on April 7th. At their April 7th meeting, the Rules Committee accepted the recommendations from the district chairs as presented by TGS&A. Following discussion of this resolution, one change was approved to item number 9, that of requiring candidates to attend their interview with the caucus in person or by electric means. Following approval of the change to item number 9, the Rules Committee unanimously approved the resolution and recommended that it be placed on the agenda for tonight's meeting. Thank you. Oh, thank you. There's a lot of wires under here. I'm tripping.
Welcome to my world. Okay, any other committees? No. Town officials? All right. Members of the body, comments? Okay. Electors of the town? Looks like we're ready to vote. All those in favor, please rise. Item 2511, Appendix B, Parts 6 and 5. That passed 70 in favor, no noes, 1 abstention. Please stay here tonight until the vote on this is tallied. No votes, please. Okay. And abstentions. Oh, great. All right. This item 25-12 passes, 70 in favor, no noes, one abstention. Without further ado, I would accept a motion to adjourn. All in favor, please rise.